Well, I gotta say, I'm pleasantly surprised and very appreciative that you are still watching my YouTube channel after I've been messing around with baby weights the past few weeks. I'm gonna do it again today, alright? So if you're bored with the light weights, then go ahead and click to another channel. But it serves a purpose for the foundation I'm trying to build. I'm basically starting from ground zero in terms of getting my fitness level back, getting some hypertrophy, some strength, and some conditioning. So I don't need to jump right into the heavy stuff. So you're gonna see me again today, light weights on all the presses. I've got a pressing, a push-pull workout, so chest and back. And we're talking like 15 to 20 reps with 45 seconds rest between sets. So the weight is not going to be heavy. I'm sorry I'm not going hashtag beast mode, hashtag Incredible Hulk like everyone else on YouTube and Instagram. I'm trying to keep it real for you, all right? Nothing drives me more crazy than to see some schmuck who is sets a huge PR that he's never lifted before, 50 pounds heavier than he's ever lifted before, and then he throws it on Instagram, just going easy on my light day to try to be cool and all that. I'm not into that. I'm going to give you the real deal Holyfield here. There's some areas that I'm strong at. There's some areas that I'm weak at. And you're going to see me work to build those weaknesses over time. One of my weaknesses right now, shoulders and upper back. Always have been. I've always had a problem. I've had 4 shoulder surgeries. And it started even from when I was very young. There were some stupid training things I did along the way that certainly didn't help that. But truthfully, a lot of it's genetic. So right now what you're going to see some high volume pressing with light weights, then you're going to see some secondary upper back work. Then I will come back again later in the week to hit a full volume back routine with no pushing. So right now I'm doing back 2 to 3 times per week, and I'm only pushing 1 time per week to try to bring some shoulder health back into the mix, try to restore some balance, and to provide a foundation from which to press upon later. Over the course of the next year or two, I will be pushing towards a 500-pound raw bench. Okay, I've gotten close before, but now we're going to push it across the finish line to get that 500 raw bench. So you're going to see this progression. It's lightweight today, but I'm not concerned about put 50 pounds on your bench in 6 weeks. Those kind of programs work, but you end up broken and you lose it just as fast as you gain it. I'm gonna slow cook it. One of the best lessons I've ever learned was from one of my mentors, Buddy Morris, who is the head strength coach for the Arizona Cardinals, excuse me. He likes to slow cook strength. What's gained fast is lost fast, and what's lost fast is gained back fast. So if you get really, really strong in 6 weeks, do a crazy Bulgarian peaking cycle, you will have a tremendous strength gain. But the second you do something different and switch away from that kind of crazy program, boom, it's gonna disappear, okay? Same thing with losing body fat. If you drop 50 pounds in 3 weeks, that'll be awesome for those 3 weeks, but then as soon as you stop whatever extreme method you were using, guess what? That fat's gonna come right back on. So I like to slow cook things. Slow cooking training physiologically makes it stay with you longer. So the hypertrophy that I'm gonna gain from slow cooking, the strength I'm gonna gain from slow cooking is gonna stick with me for a longer duration of time. It's gonna keep me more injury free. So hop in if you're not bored. If you want to see heavy weights lifting, you want to see some beast mode, click away to another channel. That ain't happening today. I'm just putting in some work, building a foundation with some lightweight, short rest periods, and higher repetitions. So I hope you enjoy this workout. I hope you pick up some ideas for things you can do on your own. Talk to you soon. Exercise 1, and I can already feel the heat from the YouTube warriors. Med ball transfer push-ups. This is a good exercise for shoulder stability and shoulder health. The shoulder blades don't have a bony attachment to the thorax, so they're controlled strictly by the muscles that surround it. So even though I'm not usually a fan of unstable training, I do like a little bit of it for the shoulder girdle, whether that be push-ups on a medicine ball or with hands in gymnastic rings. It provides a nice warm-up to get all the stabilizers firing before I get into my main work. Next exercise on the docket, 45-degree incline press, mid-grip with fat grips. Now what you'll notice, it doesn't work, if you have a thick bar you don't get this effect, but with the fat grips it actually provides a deeper stretch because the hands can get a little bit lower due to the thickness of the implements here. I'm going high rep, lightweight, just trying to squeeze and get some blood into the upper body here. After that I move directly into thick dumbbell flat bench press. Now what you'll notice, despite the high reps here, I'm changing up the movement pattern a little bit throughout the set. So you could almost call this an omni set. Sometimes I'm doing a neutral to pronated grip. There I just switched to a purely pronated grip with the elbows out. I'll mix it back up a little bit. Again, this is just to target different recruitment patterns to make sure that we're training the shoulder girdle as thoroughly as possible. By this point, I'm starting to get toast. So we're moving on to a 10-degree incline dumbbell fly. I threw the fat grips on because I'm a grip guy. I really like to train grip, so I threw the grip on. Now I've got horrible shoulder mobility here, so this is, you'll see my pain face coming on with each rep, and I don't have great range of motion here, but it actually is kind of therapeutic for me, despite the pain in those ranges. When I do get up from the set, I end up feeling a lot better, so I try to incorporate these in. I'm also varying my hand positions on these, I'm doing these a lot different than a lot of people do pec flies. Most people go straight out to the sides. I'm actually kind of going back a little bit till my elbows are in line with the ears. That's because the pec major fibers run in more of a diagonal manner from the sternum to the humerus, so it basically puts it in a better stretched position. So again, varying the angles with each repetition. Now it's time to get into the back work. So from here I move into a lawnmower row. I like this. It's more of an upright body posture, and you want to think about twisting and punching your elbow to the ceiling. The other thing you're going to think about is turning your head and trying to rotate your T-spine. A lot of people with shoulder problems, myself included, have very poor thoracic spine mobility, so they're not able to extend and rotate throughout that T-spine. So this is a good exercise to really try to get that end range scapular retraction. You're not going heavy here. It's pretty light relative to what you can normally row because the focus is on feeling a good squeeze in that upper back. You want to try to cue the movement pattern. This isn't one where you absolutely trash the muscle fibers. It's one where it's better to do correctly. I'm not going to show you every rep here because I don't want to waste your time. I've already talked about it a little bit, so we'll move on to the next exercise. Now, I told you at the beginning I was going to show you where I'm weak. And one of my weaknesses is shoulder mobility. I do not have great mobility, so the range of motion on this is actually pretty pathetic. This is a lower trapezius raise. It's awesome for shoulder health if you can cue it and feel it properly. I like to go prone on an incline bench to stabilize the torso to prevent me from heaving my chest as much. Really kind of isolates the muscles a little bit better degree. Start with a good strong scapular retraction and then raise up. It's going to hit the middle and lower trapezius. Some people call it a trap 3, trap 4 raise. Other people call it a lower trapezius raise, which I think is kind of good because it hits all those angles. So I'm going higher repetitions here and just trying to make sure that I can feel it and get those stabilizing muscles turned on. This is not a lift that you can go heavy, relatively speaking, but what I've found, it's a lift that a lot of people, their technique falls apart on very quickly. So they end up, they don't use the correct muscles. They don't actually use the lower trapezius to lift the weight if you try to go too heavy. So you always want to make sure you feel that burn right on the bottom corner of that shoulder blade there to make sure you're doing it correctly. All right, moving on. All right, disclaimer on this next exercise. It looks ridiculous. I realize that. And my range of motion is horrible. I realize that. What I'm focusing on here is scapular retraction, or squeezing the shoulder blades together and feeling that tight squeeze. If I was focusing more on shoulder external rotation, you would see the elbows forward a little more and the hands coming back further. But I'm focused in this more at the shoulder blade than at the humeral head, if that makes sense. So again, working on scapular mechanics, pinching the shoulder blades. This is going to hit the rhomboids, the lower trapezius and middle trapezius to a degree, along with a little bit of activation from the external rotators as they stabilize the shoulder. This is a money maker for me in terms of shoulder health. That has me feeling good, so that's why I do it.